Okay, hey guys, today I'll be doing problem 4a. So, let's get right into it. So the first thing that we want to know is the roots of f of x equals x minus 3, x minus 1, and x plus 2. So the first thing you need to know in order to find the roots is actually pretty simple. Basically what you do is flip the values. So, since they have an x minus 3, that becomes positive 3. They have x minus 1, that becomes positive 1. We also have an x plus 2, so that becomes negative 2 since we're flipping the values. Alright, next thing we want to do is find the y-intercept. In order to get the y-intercept, we need to put this into equation form. So we're going to go over here to the right to get some space. So we're going to put x minus 3, x minus 1, and also x plus 2. Now, we're not going to worry about this for now. We're going to first worry about x minus 3 and x minus 1. So, what we do, we have to multiply. So, x times x and x times negative 1. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. Next thing would be negative 3 times x and negative 3 times negative 1. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 1 is positive 3. So now we would combine like terms. So like terms would be negative 1x and negative 3x. So that would become x squared minus 4x plus 3. Then we would bring down the x plus 2, and now we would have to multiply. First thing we're going to multiply is x squared times x and x squared times positive 2. So that would become x cubed. X squared times positive 2 is 2x squared. Then would be negative 4x times x and negative 4x times 2. So that would become negative 4x squared. We'll excuse that 4 over there. And negative 4x times positive 2. It would end up becoming negative 8x. Now we would have to do positive 3 times x and positive 3 times 2. So that would end up becoming positive 3x and positive 6. Now we would have to combine like terms once again. So like terms would be 2x squared and negative 4x squared, as well as negative x and positive 3x. So it would now look like x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. So now we have the y-intercept. We know it is now positive 6, so we would go back over here. For the y-intercept, we would simply put 6. Alright, so now, the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to graph the equation. Alright, so we have, for the y-intercept, we have the roots, and we also have the turning points. We need to graph all of them. So, let's start off with the roots. We're going to graph positive 3. We're going to graph positive 1. And we're also going to graph negative 2. And now we're going to have to graph positive 6. We would now also have to graph the turning points. So we're going to do a rough estimate here. Figure negative 0.786 would be around here. And positive 8, so it's not on the graph, will be a rough estimate of right here. And we're now going to graph positive 2.12, so that would be around here, and negative 4.061, so it'll also be around here. Okay, and knowing that the 3x cubed is positive, it would look something like this. Alright, so let's connect the dots. Alright, the next thing the equation is now asking me for is the end behavior. So let's look at the graph from left to right. We can see that the function begins to increase at negative infinity. So let's just already write that. It's going to begin to increase at negative infinity. So as we're moving up, we see it stops to increase at negative 0.786, which is right here. So we're also going to jot that down, but it stops increasing at negative 0.86. But it also starts to increase around here. So what point is that? That point is positive 2.12. So we're going to jot that down as well. So it begins to increase at positive 2.12, and it stops increasing at positive infinity. So that's when the function is increasing. The next thing the problem asks us to do is, when is the function decreasing? So let's look at the graph once more. We're looking from left to right. The function decreases, it starts to decrease once again. We're going to look over here. So it starts to decrease at negative 0.786. Let's jot that down, negative 0.786. And it continues decreasing all the way down to 2.12. Okay, so now we have answered when the function is increasing as well as when the function is decreasing. So next thing we're going to look at is end behavior. So looking at the graph, when x is approaching positive infinity, y is also approaching positive infinity. So we would write, as y approaches positive infinity, x also approaches positive infinity. So now let's look at when x is approaching negative infinity. So as x approaches negative infinity, y is also approaching negative infinity. So we would write y approaches negative infinity, x also approaches negative infinity. So that's it, folks. That's all we had to do for this problem. I hope you understand, and good luck on the quiz.